Monday on 3.
Wake up to a brand new kind of morning. On radio, on TV, online. It's the AM Show.
All right, good morning, New Zealand. The AM Show is go for launch. I'm Duncan, Garner with Amanda and Mark, of course, and it's fabulous to have your company this morning. Welcome along for the ride. It is Monday, the 13th of February. Amanda and Mark, good morning to you both.
Good morning. It's so nice to be here.
We finally got here. The longest summer on Earth or on record has ended, hasn't it, for us?
Absolutely. I want to start with an official complaint.
Yes.
My gorgeous family and friends who text me, who were trying to get an early night last night. What I loved the most, or should I say hated the most, I got lovely text messages. Half of them were about this fella next to me saying, can't wait to see wait for it, the Silver Fox and Mr. Clooney.
Welcome along, Mark.
I'm officially over my holidays, actually. I reached peak performance arousal levels about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, and it's downhill from here.
Last week I got a little bit over-aroused, didn't I, in the office?
You did.
For this. Yeah.
You need to stay calm now, Mark. Anyway, good to have you company this morning. Just ahead, a 27-year-old woman's due to appear in court today, charged with the vile, racist attack on a group of Muslim women in Huntly. Apparently, this is nothing out of the ordinary. We speak to the Islamic Women's Council next hour. 60,000 houses short, according to the ANZ Bank in a government briefing paper. It's the magic number as far as a housing crisis goes. It's a nationwide figure that we've not heard before, and apparently it's growing at a rate of 40 homes per day. We'll put that to our Prime Minister in 40 minutes. And our special guest this morning is one of the stars of the US legal drama Suits, Rick Hoffman. 6 o'clock, it is time for the news. And here's Amanda.
Good morning. Around 100 fires are raging across New South Wales and Australia as the state struggles with soaring temperatures and high winds. More than 2,000 firefighters are battling the blazes. A third of them are uncontained. Officials say the conditions are worse than Victoria's 2009 Black Saturday fires, which killed 173 people. Meanwhile, a 13-year-old boy and a 40-year-old man have been arrested for starting a bushfire in the state. And while temperatures soar to over 40 degrees in Sydney, New Zealand is set to suffer the same fate, same weather system here. 150 km/h winds are forecast to hit Wellington today, while heavy rain will affect the top of the South Island. It's been a long and frustrating wait for Jetstar passengers in Dunedin. They spent hours stranded at the airport yesterday before being told late last night their flight to Auckland was cancelled due to mechanical issues. Passengers were taken to hotels at 2 a.m. and will now have to wait until this afternoon for another flight. Engineering issues also stopped an Air New Zealand flight from leaving Dunedin for Christchurch last night. New Zealand is short of 60,000 houses, a figure that is growing by 40 a day. That has been revealed in documents exclusively revealed to the AM Show. More than 35,000 more homes are needed in Auckland alone. Labour leader Andrew Little says the shortage is driving up house prices.
This is a huge issue because when we don't have enough houses for the people who are there, people get priced out of the housing market. Not only people trying to buy their own home, but people trying to rent as well.
Mr. Little expects the homeless community to grow unless drastic action is taken. There's hope a massive whale rescue effort in Golden Bay may be over. More than 300 pilot whales died on Farewell Spit over the weekend. Ben Irwin joins me now from nearby Pakawo Beach with the latest. Ben.
Amanda, the whales that re-stranded yesterday have gone back out to sea as of last night, but that of course doesn't diminish the threat of further stranding. So the Department of Conservation, they'll be putting up a small plane at daybreak to go down the length of Farewell Spit to check there are no more whales. But of course that flight is weather dependent. It's very windy down here. And just one more thing to note about the Spit, it is still closed to the public. It's off limits. That's because of course it's still littered with more than 300 whale carcasses which still have to be dealt with by the department. Amanda.
A Newshub investigation has discovered serious problems with the way some contractors are testing drivers of heavy vehicles. Several transport agency-approved providers were helping students cheat. NZTA audited 150 providers in the last 2 years. 22 of them had unsatisfactory audit results, but only 2 of those operations were shut down. Powerful aftershocks are continuing to rock the Philippines 3 days after a deadly quake left 8 people dead. Officials are warning survivors to make sure their homes and buildings are sturdy enough before going back inside. At least 137 aftershocks have hit following the magnitude 6.7 quake. A 5-year-old girl and her 3-year-old brother are in hospital after tumbling from a third-storey window in Sydney. It's believed the pair had been jumping on a bunk bed when they fell through the fly screen of an open window. The girl suffered life-threatening injuries and remains in a critical condition. Her brother is in a stable condition. And Celeb Watch in the Lower South as Hollywood heavyweights Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon and Mindy Kaling touch down. The trio's here filming the $140 million Disney film A Wrinkle in Time. They landed in Queenstown yesterday in Oprah's private jet before being whisked off to a private home in Wanaka. Nice for some. And that's the latest from Newshub. It is 3 minutes past 6.
All right, Brendan Amanda, thank you so much. Now, the unprofessional habits that could cost you your job, okay? So there's a list that's come out this morning from the Business Insider. Being sloppy at number 1, which I think relates to all of us.
Yes.
Number 2, not doing your homework. Number 3, not trying too hard to garner attention. Okay, so be careful.
We're feeling nervous.
Yeah, you're done. Well, you're done, Richardson. Skipping breakfast.
Never do that.
Smoking and drinking.
Oh, yeah,
We've probably
fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been there. But this one's for you, Mark. Speaking without thinking at number 12.
Yeah, hang on, I've made a living off that. Yeah, that's how I get employed.
Interrupting and not being gracious. Not being gracious. I think this program, we need to be gracious, don't we?
Yep.
Generous?
Three things that I think we're going to be. We're going to have honesty. We're going to have heart. And what's the other thing we're going to have?
Fun.
Bit of fun.
We're going to have some fun.
Bit of naughty fun.
Yeah.
Just be careful how much you throw that we around.
Yes. I'm liking the speaking without thinking, though, Mark. That's almost you on notice anyway. 5 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good to have you company this morning. Amanda, what's happening in the weather?
The start of the week brings rain to the bottom of the South Island, and don't expect that to clear as it becomes heavy later in the day. Dunedin 17, Queenstown 16. A similar story up the west coast of the South Island. Heavy rain is expected throughout most areas. Greymouth and Hokitika 18, Westport 19 degrees. More wet weather on the other side of the South Island. Rain will be hanging around throughout the morning. It should become fine in the afternoon. Christchurch 26, Nelson 23. Same story at the bottom of the North Island with rain for most of the day. That should clear late this afternoon. Wellington 20, Palmerston North 25 degrees. There's also no escaping the rain for the North Island's west coast. Fine spells should develop in the afternoon though. New Plymouth 21, Tauport 24. Different story up the east coast of the North Island where it's going to be very hot. Napier and Hastings reaching 34 degrees. 33 for Gisborne and Tauranga 28. Occasional rain hanging around throughout the day at the top of the country. That may become heavy later in the day. Hamilton 26, Auckland 27 and Whangarei a very nice 30 degrees.
All right, thank you, Amanda. This whale story, the whale stranding at the top of the South Island Farewell Spit. I've been out there, it's so remote. What do you do with the whales? More than 300 whales. You leave them there, don't you?
No, they can explode. They can go poof.
They go bang, don't they?
Yeah, well, so that's a hazard. Can't we? Well, and it's sad, the dead ones. Why don't we sell them to Japan?
You can't. For scientific research. For scientific research, Mark.
Well, they're still out there in the Southern Ocean harpooning them. They obviously have a demand for whales. We could offload a few dead ones.
Deliver them up to them.
Yeah.
Free delivery.
No, I say you leave them there. I mean, it's ridiculous sort of having to move them. So, I mean, the iwi will be consulted over this, as usual. But you can't move 300 whales to a paddock to explode. You shut the beach off and leave them there, don't you?
Well, to rot, I don't know. And then everything that comes in, the seagulls, the birds, it would be rather unsavoury, wouldn't it? Can't they just...
No, but it's remote.
Dig a big hole?
It's remote, and that's what you do. No, I reckon you leave them there. I mean, I think Doc is saying this as well. You leave them there, you fence off the beach, and nature will take its course.
That's true. I just think it's heartbreaking. Can I say, though, I think it's just wonderful how the community came out and the way they did in their droves to help that. I thought that was really heartening. Very Kiwi.
I think it'd be one of those experiences that if you ever got the opportunity to do it, do it, because it'd be something, and look, I'm no lefty, we know that, but it'd be something quite spiritual about it, wouldn't it?
I agree.
Okay, so you know, lefty, what are you? Sort of mid-right, are you, or far right?
Yeah.
Are we just putting this out there now? Yeah.
Middle right. That's not centre right, that's sort of middle of the right.
What's middle
line,
right?
I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle of being right wing,
I think it's been a friend of Trump. Would that be fair?
Or Alec Baldwin. I like both of them.
That's a great story. We'll talk about that very shortly as well. Just coming up 9 minutes after 6 o'clock, Mark, what's happening in sport?
The Chiefs have honoured the memory of fallen All Black Sione Lauaki by beating the Crusaders 12-5 in the first Brisbane Tens rugby tournament. After the Crusaders took an early lead, Luke Jacobson landed a try just before half-time, with Talini Seuss scoring the deciding 5-pointer. And an emotional captain Liam Messam paid tribute after the victory.
First off, I'd like to thank all the fans for turning up and supporting such a great event. I think there's going to be one of the events to come to every year. But it just...
Breakers veteran Tom Abercrombie's now looking ahead to his next challenge.
I've had a disrupted season as well with everything that's gone on and breaking my hand and things like that. So hopefully get a little chance to get that back to 100%. And then, the last few years I've obviously gone over to Europe. So we'll see what comes up there again. Hopefully an opportunity presents itself.
And that's your sport there, Duncan.
Okay, just gone 10 minutes after 6 o'clock. What do you make of the Tens? Did you watch any of the Tens over the weekend? I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, I did actually. I made a point of it because I thought I should, being the jock here. And I liked it. People seem to be keen to poo-poo this. You know, we're looking at it's something new. We're sceptical about it. But it's more like rugby than what Sevens is. Sevens isn't rugby at all. It's Sevens. I think it has its place. So what? We're not going to see the big stars there because our thirst for them means they can't play every match. But this will be an opportunity to blood some new players, to launch the next lot of stars in a game that is way more meaningful and closer to rugby than what Sevens is.
And we should also remember as well at the start of the year, you have the Sevens, you have the Nines, you have the Tens. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's purely entertainment for fans.
Will they have it again? Though I saw the crowds. There was barely anyone in the crowds. Can they justify it?
No, there was. They're all sitting in the shade.
It was so hot. Do you know what the temperature's doing?
Well, about 40 degrees or so?
Almost 50.
Yeah.
50,000 people over 2 days. I don't think that's too bad. You know, and like this is what people are like. My wife, I was watching it last night. My wife, she came into the lounge and said, "Oh, what's this you watching?" I said, "The Tens." She said, "What, the Tens? What's the Tens?
Yeah.
Look at the Sevens and the Nines. And why do we need another thing?"
I agree with your wife.
Why do we need another thing? Because I was prepared to sit there in my living room and watch it and enjoy it.
And people still showed up. I like the fact that the Chiefs won because of Sione Lauaki, obviously. A devastating Chiefs number 8.
Was devastating.
A devastating All Black that never really reached his the top of his game, did he? His potential.
But that'll be in part because they wouldn't have known it at the time, but because of the health issues. And it was in a very competitive environment back then.
He had a few issues though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Off the field.
Yeah, it's another one of those cases too. All Blacks can be quite easily forgotten, and then something tragic like this happens, you go, "Oh wow, yeah, remember him."
Exactly. All right, just coming up 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good to have your company. Our poll today: are you going to celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow? So head to www.theamshow.co.nz. Mark. I don't do this because if I turn up with flowers or chocolates or something, I've done something wrong, usually. So I'm going to be very careful with this. Do you guys celebrate it?
No, I'm not a big fan of the Valentine's Day. I did see one of the fast food outlets, though, said you can get a bouquet of fried chicken. Just heads up to you two, do not get that for your wives.
No.
Yeah,
Mark,
that's a no.
Every day's Valentine's Day. I can't substantiate that. No, I'll wait. I'll go to the Valentine's Day sales the day after where flowers are a lot cheaper.
Mary is a lucky woman.
You are spending far too much money on toys for yourself than presents for your wife, aren't you?
My wife got a jet ski for her Valentine's Day. I got it early.
Okay, let's get your feedback as well. Don't forget, if you've got something to get off your chest, you can email us, feedback@theamshow.co.nz. Coming up 13 minutes after 6. After the break, London is gearing up for the BAFTA Awards and the big gay out is still trending. Okay, on this day in 1967, the Beatles released the AA-sided single Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields, of course. It spent 10 weeks on the chart, peaking at number 1. Jerry Springer, 73. Robbie Williams, 43. Same age as me, basically. 2001.